take a sip or anything for
I'm
her?
good, yeah.
All right. We'll get the trophy up here. We're excited to welcome 2026 and now two-time winner of the Valero Texas Open, JJ Spaun. JJ, you had a long wait there to finally get there to the end. I guess, can you talk us through the last 2 hours and how you're feeling now after clinching the third win?
Yeah, I was just really exhausted. I was willing to accept a playoff, but I was hoping there wasn't one. Been a long day, very cold and windy conditions. But yeah, I just sat around in the scoring tent and just watched play unfold. And once Bob made eagle, I went to the range and started getting ready to, physically and mentally to prepare for a playoff. And that's kind of where we saw everything kind of transpire. And here we are.
Saw your wife and your kids celebrating with you. How special is it to have them on site this week and share the win with them?
Yeah, it's special always having them with me, whether it's a successful week or not. They were there at Oakmont. My youngest daughter wasn't born yet when I first won here in 2022, so it was cool to have the whole family here, and it's such a fun week. Everything is so convenient. There's so much so much great hospitality they do here, taking care of us, and the water parks and everything's so fun. Daycare's easy. All these bunch of little events for the kids. So it's a week in the schedule that we always like to come to as a family.
All right, I'd like to open up to questions. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We can get a microphone to you. We'll start right up here in the center.
Mr. Spaun, what was your strategy coming into Valero Texas Open this year?
My strategy was to not spiral, believe it or not. Like, I've been kind of, going crazy as far as like my golf swing and how I've been playing. I mean, you can look at my results. I've missed, 3 or 4 cuts this year. I've had, some middle of the pack finishes. I didn't know how I was going to play every single week. But going into this week, I kind of accepted where my game was, if that makes any sense. And just said, this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to play golf with, and I'm going to accept the outcome, and I'm going to just try to get the ball in the hole. And, I obviously was the best at it this week.
Come up here in the center.
Mr. Spaun, obviously you had a great hole on 17 to get an eagle. What were your thought process on the tee when you were looking at that hole?
So 17... it was kind of like a tweener between 3-wood and driver. I think if there was more wind, I would have hit 3-wood, but I knew, I was one back of the lead. I wanted to be aggressive and take driver and just kind of hit like a 90% driver. And I kind of had a flash of my tee shot at Oakmont at the U.S. Open last year on 17 on Sunday, where I drove the green and ended up making birdie. So that was kind of a nice image that I kind of had in my mind before I pegged it and hit the shot. I stepped in there and put a really good swing on it, and it landed a yard or two short of the green and trickled to about 10 feet and buried the putt. So that was really big, obviously, for the round and for where I was position-wise on the leaderboard.
All right, go to Kevin.
JJ, how did your expectations for yourself in your career change? This is a 2-part question. First one is, how did your expectations change after the U.S. Open Championship?
Well, yeah, they kind of changed a lot. I think because I was riding on so much confidence and so much self-belief. Right after the U.S. Open, I continued to play well. I almost won in Memphis. I lost in a playoff there. Played really well at the Ryder Cup. But then it was like when I had kind of like this physical end to the season, and now it's like a new start, like I put way too much pressure on myself that I needed to be that 6th player in the world that tees it up every week and needs to show up and needs to play well and needs to contend. And, that's an uncomfortable position for me because I've never been there. But it was more of like the complete opposite mindset that I had last year, where last year I kind of accepted playing with nothing to lose. I felt like that helped me free up myself mentally, even starting at the Players in the playoff and then coming down the stretch at the U.S. Open. Like, I cared, but I didn't want it to like consume me by caring too much. aka putting too much pressure on myself. And that was the complete opposite mindset that I had starting the year. I felt like I needed to be this perfect golfer. I needed to validate whatever I did last year, and it just put so much expectation on myself that I couldn't handle it. Like, I just was, spiraling every week, not hitting it how I wanted to, then changing my swing and working with my coach, and then neglecting short game and putting, and next thing you know, like my whole game was just like a mess. But I think the players, I did a really good job of kind of accepting where my game was and just knowing like you don't have to have your A game to win. And you hear a lot of guys say that all the time. And that's kind of what I did this week, or that is what I did this week. I didn't have my A game, but I just accepted, what I was able to use this week and went out there and just tried to get the ball in the hole, and whatever outcome I had, whether it was a shot or a hole, I just accepted it and moved on. And so that's kind of going back to that mentality of feeling like I have nothing to lose and just trying to free myself up mentally.
And that leads us to part two of my question, which is where are you right now? After winning today, where is your confidence? Where is your belief? Where are your expectations?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson for me this week was learning that, like, I don't have to be perfect to win golf tournaments. I don't think I was perfect at the U.S. Open. I don't think I was perfect when I won here in 2022. But, I'm proud that I was able to hit the shots that I wanted to hit when the moment needed it. And that proved to me that, like, wherever I feel like my golf swing is, or wherever, mentally, if I'm not confident in being able to hit certain shots, that I pulled it off today and down the stretch when it mattered. And, that's all that matters. And I need to just continue to use that mindset for the rest of the season.
Guys, have any more questions for JJ? All right. JJ, congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. We'll stay right here. Alex is going to do the normal